Here are the horoscopes for the week of the 2nd to the 8th of March 2015. We have a couple of big aspects coming up towards the end of the month, but the main thing I'm seeing for this week is the chance to actually do some housework and preparation for that, so that whatever comes up in necessary friction at the end of the month is lessened by the fact that we've actually cleared some of the blockages voluntarily ourselves first. So we have Jupiter retrograde making a trine aspect. That's a very harmonic aspect to Uranus in Aries. So Jupiter's in Leo, retro, and Uranus is direct in Aries, and they're both working together in a fire trine. So what this shows me is there's a lot of opportunity here to clear the way, because Jupiter clears out before fresh space can be made for the new to come in. So because Jupiter's retrograde, we're going inwards and we're clearing and we're making that room. We're doing it with joy and courage because we're in the sign of Leo, which rules the heart and the solar plexus. So we're going back to our simple, free spirit, to that space that just knows without having to think or do or plan. And then we're breaking forwards with Uranus in Aries, which is the rebel. It's the one that sees things differently. It's the one that can get rid of the obstacles because it can realise that some of those obstacles are false to begin with or have served their purpose. So a really lovely golden aspect all week, which is to do with connecting with your inner child, your inner joy, that space inside of you that doesn't need to prove anything to anyone, that's not been built upon psychology and personality stories or society's programming. Because we're actually very simple divine sparks in our natural state of being, and it's all the debris that's built up on the outside of us has come from our creating our personal story, our perceptions of our emotional past and how we've taken everything personally and wrapped it around ourselves, and then the heavy duty programming that we receive through every form of media and reflected back from society, which then adds to our limited thinking. So if we could just step back into that purity this week, to get rid of some of that baggage, to get rid of some of that story that isn't true or doesn't serve us, to go back and have a look at some of our restrictions. Because where we feel resistance, that means there's a restriction there. And that's not to be avoided this week. That's to go and have a look at, well, if there's a restriction, if I feel resistance to something, then it's my resistance. Let me go and have a look and see what that is. What's it based upon? What does it mean? And is it even true to begin with? So if we can strip off some of the layers with joy and appreciation and gratitude, knowing that we're getting back to our natural state of happiness and perfection, then this will make the weeks coming up less difficult, because there'll be less to be challenged. There'll be less to come up to throw us off our direction. So that's Jupiter retrograde in Leo, trine Uranus in Aries, clearing the way and breaking through with fresh vision, fresh energy, rebellion, not putting up with it anymore. There's plenty that we hold on to that we shouldn't, because it's not even ours to hold on to. There's huge creativity this week as well, because we're with the fire signs. So for the writers and the artists, the publishers and the broadcasters, go back to a project that was close to your heart and have another go at that. Find the deeper meaning in your artwork, because it's lovely painting or singing or dancing, but is there a message there? Is there something that you actually want to express? Because this is the rocket fuel of art, really. The message that it delivers and the alchemy that it creates as a result is actually what we're loving and what we're attracted to when we see a beautiful piece of art or hear a wonderful piece of music. So there's lots of deprogramming energy around, with joy and inspiration, freedom and inner childishness, getting back to a state of radiance and perfection in the heart and the solar plexus. And all of this clearing will then mean that the weeks coming up are less challenging on a personal level, although they will be challenging on a society level, because it's very necessary what we're about to experience. It's the last of the Pluto-Uranus squares, and this is necessary breakdown for the new vision to be able to come in. So huge energy there, building all the way up to the full moon in Virgo on the 5th of March. Now this is kind of the tipping point really, because on this full moon there's actually a very awkward aspect between the Sun, Pluto and Jupiter. This is called a yod, and this is pointing to the real significance, pointing to the thing that needs to be sorted out. And Jupiter's in the limelight, even though it's the full moon in Virgo, it's Jupiter that's actually shining brightly at this point. So Jupiter, as I say, is the clearing away to get back to our internal sovereignty, our majesty, and our natural state of being. So if something comes up on Thursday around the full moon in Virgo, then that's good, that's showing you what you need to attend to, so that's cause for celebration rather than self-pity and misery and fear, which is what these things are often fed to us as. Kind of more programming in a way. It's like, poor me, I'm going through this, isn't it bad? And much astrology is written on that fear-based, what's around the corner modality. But what we're seeing here is that the creation and the joy in the inner child and the clearing done happily and creatively towards this full moon in Virgo, showing us the restrictions, showing us what needs to be cleared. But keep an eye on that state of perfection that is the natural self, rather than something that's far away, up a mountain or along a dark and difficult path. It's actually not that, it's already present inside of you. So stripping back to that rather than trying to seek and walk towards and work hard towards and achieve, that natural state of inner child perfection, divine radiance, is actually what's up for revisal this week. And the full moon in Virgo will pull that out, show you maybe your true purpose, or where you've not been sovereign to yourself, where you've given your power away. There may be some power plays going on at this time. And that Jupiter retrograde in Leo, going back and rethinking, well, am I reliant on others? Am I dimming my lights? Am I giving credit to other people but not nourishing my own heart and solar plexus? Am I brought up in a system where it says don't shine your light, don't blow your own trumpet, don't be magnificent? And if so, is that really true? Because surely we're all here to shine our brightest, unique selves. So be higher selfish, give yourself permission to get back to that state of purity and radiate and appreciate what you already have, rather than looking on the outside or walking into a cage of lack and striving. And that's what this full moon in Virgo is really delivering. Because like I say, after that the pressure begins to mount. This is going to be played out very much in society and on a political basis, as we have this beautiful last Uranus-Pluto square coming up, which I'll talk about in the weeks to come. But therefore, if we're starting to feel some tension, at least there's less resistance inside of ourselves. It's not something we need to take personally. And the key here is very much to hold the vision of the fresh and the new that can come in, rather than mourn the falling down of the old system. So if we've gone and deconstructed our own inner old system, and we're living in joy and vision and youthful hope and energy and excitement within ourselves, then that can't be worked on in the weeks to come, and whatever does happen will be more to do with where we're going as a whole. So the idea of astrology is know thyself, work on thyself, because that then changes the whole unit. If everybody worked on themselves, then we wouldn't have half as many problems as we do in the world. But those problems are necessary right now as we reach this very, very amazing point of the age of Aquarius, re-entering the golden era, regaining our powers. So in order to make room for those powers, we need to realise that it's just, we've bunged ourselves up and clogged ourselves up with so much junk that we've forgotten we even had them in the first place. So like I say, a beautiful week, Jupiter retrograde trine Uranus in a fire trine, creativity, joy, expansion, freedom, inspiration, and then a slightly tricky full moon in Virgo that might show you where you're not being that, where you're limited, where you're blocked. So embrace it, be grateful for it. It's good to do this clearing. We're going to be bright, especially going towards the spring equinox, which is what exactly Pisces is about. Realising everything that's gone on in the last 12 months and releasing everything that's bogging us down, that's making us heavy. So really beautiful. If anything does come up, know that it's yours, know that it's there to be cleared forever, and know that by doing this happily and voluntarily this week, you're making the next couple of weeks easier for yourself. And then just hold the vision. Do you have a vision of the future? Many people have become very good at complaining about the state of things, but can you see better? Can you feel better? Do you know what we could bring in to replace what's falling down? Because that really is the message of Uranus in Aries, bringing in a whole new way of being individual, responsible, and transmitting our true tone to add to a whole new collective without losing our self. So those are the horoscopes for this week, and I'll see you next week. With all this in mind, I'd like to once again remind you that I do have some tools to help you here. So whether you want to come for a personal reading to see how these energies can be harnessed best for your own effect, or whether you'd like to engage in one of my short online courses to really find the power, whether it's your own space with the Celtic Feng Shui, a really beautiful clearing system so that you can get clear inside yourself and outside, or whether it's discovering your personal power numbers and how to work more closely with those, discovering more of your true tone, because we have our astrology and we have our numerology as well. So it's worth considering both of those together. There's also a course to do with planning with the moon. The moon cycles are personal to you. It's not just the full moon in Virgo. Where does that fall in your chart and what does it mean for you? You can make a 12-month plan once you understand where each moon is talking to you personally, so that you're doing the right thing at the right time. And then I have an astrology and tarot course, which is beautiful for expanding your knowledge of astrology and tarot together intuitively. The two are the same thing at a certain level, so a very playful and very meaningful course there. And then also my entire astrology course. This is a wonderful course of study. There's 13 modules, but you can just pick one or two if you're not ready to engage with the whole subject yet, and take your time and walk with it. So the readings are available on Skype or in person, and the courses are notes and a video for you to follow with email access to me to ask questions. So it's all laid out very simply for you. Engage with these beautiful arts as we get back into our powers. These are the powers that we used to have, so why ignore them? Why delay? Why under-prioritise something that really is the Hermetic knowledge, know thyself? This is the way to do it, through your chart and through the old crafts. So please do contact me if you're interested in any of that, zoehines7@gmail.com. Also wanted to mention that I'll be doing a workshop at the Light Centre in Belgravia about how to look at your personal chart and find your direction and energize your potential. So this is a great time to be engaging with that kind of energy as we're about to cross into Aries and start a new cycle. So a lovely workshop there. I'll put the link below. But find your potential, find your direction, take all that you are and focus it and energize your life. So that's what that workshop's about, and as I say, the link's below. So have a beautiful week, and I'll see you next week.